Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, let's take a time warp back 12 years. The release of Star Wreck in the Pirkinning, it was 2005, and of course it goes much further than that because the actual production took 7 years. And I've been repeating the 7 years kind of a norm that, 7 years we did that. And well, in Iron Sky it took 6 years, so it was 1 year less. But kind of it's a long time. It's a long time to do a film. And that's kind of the reason why I need to be careful where to go. And because usually film projects take so long, especially if you don't have money or the education. I didn't have. I tried to get to a film school, but I couldn't get in, so I thought, well, then I'll do a film. And yes, I was also the main actor in the film because that was the only way I could guarantee that the lead actor doesn't change his haircut. So it's kind of it was a long process. Of course, we didn't know it will take 7 years. I had no idea. Actually, it was supposed to be a 20-minute short film. Of course, things change, and we got more enthusiastic, and we wanted to have more in the film. We wanted to flesh out the Emperor Perk, the character of him, and he is kind of a traditional Finnish leader in many ways. He's kind of a he motivates people by shouting to his loyal people, and if somebody thinks gets a good idea, he takes that idea and presents that as his own idea. Of course. Well, in the 90s, I go way back. So then it was the Babylon 5 was really hot thing, and Star Trek, and we found the fandom, kind of the fight between the fans, which sci-fi series is the better, and we wanted to do film about that we put the two science fiction worlds together fighting, and that was also kind of one of the pitch lines for the Star Wreck film. The story began in '92. I was doing Star Wreck animations even then. Not everybody knows about this dark history, and they are actually really funny, and there's a lot of cursing. So you can see here my teenage, kind of how it progresses. Almost every year, one episode. Of course, from my mother's point of view, it was really good that she knew I was usually at my computer. All my friends that were there when we were recording audio to these films. And Star Wreck V in '97, that was the first film where we went in front of the camera. And we heard this thing called blue screen. In Hollywood, they are shooting actors against this blue sheet, and then they are replacing it. And I asked my mom, "Hey, do you have any blue sheet?" She said, "Yes, I have. I have one. This is the blue sheet." And I thought that, well, if they are doing that in Hollywood, we can do it here as well. And it worked perfectly. And as you saw in Star Wreck 5, those clips, of course it's not perfect, but it was in '97 it was kind of a really big thing, and because back then nobody did any this fan fiction with special effects, and so it was really unique. And '97 we also started to distribute it online, so you can say that Star Wreck was really one of the first fan films out there, and of course. If you think the Star Wreck, in the Pirkinning, the latest Star Wreck film, that was kind of the first social media event ever from Finland. It got millions of downloads, and it's good to remember, back then there was no Facebook, no YouTube. Video streaming was not an option. It was just downloading some videos, and so we used BitTorrent network to distribute the film. And because it was Creative Commons licensed as well, that helped as well to sell the story. I think it's also really important that the actual film production has a story. it's I'm not saying that film is not good, but the actual making of the film needs to have a good story. And the story was that the crazy Finns are doing a film in their mother's basement for 7 years, and then they are sharing it for free. and they, of course, I couldn't done the film myself. Here's my dear friend Timo Vuorensola, who is now directing the second Iron Sky film on the right, and Sami Aumantila, who shot the film. And he is the basement from my mother's place where I lived my teenage years, and we shot most of the film there. Then a couple of last years I moved to my first flat, and of course the first big question was, can I fit the blue screen there? That was the only thing that mattered, that yes, there's enough space and we can bring the camera far enough. And you can really see that it's from 2003, 2004, because those were really high-end monitors back then. And Atte Joutsen, here he's the co-producer and the second main star in the film, and also co-everything. He was also there with us the whole time. Of course, and then there was Jarmo Puskala, who helped in writing the script, and Esa Jaatinen, who was also behind the mic boom, and that was also important thing, just to get the audio. So there we were, about 5 guys, and we learned a lot while doing it. And this is kind of example of how the movie is put together, because the blue screen area was quite small, so we need to think, well, we need to shoot every character one by one. So for example, here's Commander Wolf, played by the director himself. Of course, I'm there, and then we found some girls there, because we knew that if we don't have beautiful girls in this film, it will be doomed, because it will give us some kind of the nerd credibility that we have actually managed to lure some beautiful women to our room. So, but it was important. It was kind of although she didn't have a big role, but she was kind of the key figure in most of the images what we showed in the press. So basically, this is how it blends together more or less, and of course, I was the only person in the production who actually knew what we were doing and what we were missing, because some parts were recorded 5 years earlier, and some because the story kept changing as well. So because it was in constant flux. So we kind of changed some different routes with the script. We shot some different endings, and then we decided, oh, this isn't good. We need to have some more serious ending, and there was a lot of kind of why we reshot some things. One thing was that actors were getting older. So that was also one reason why we needed to reshoot some stuff, and also my performance changed during those years. So my character became more grumpier and grumpier towards the end, ultimately we managed to put it together. And here is the render farm. As you know, if you are doing visual effects films, it requires that you have computers which calculate the final frames. And in my kitchen, I had 5 computers. There's one more, I think. And it might have been that one computer in the kitchen was rendering 10-second shot 2 or 3 months. And that's the scale. That was also one of the reasons why it took 7 years. But yeah, it was kind of during those last months, I actually told all my friends, hey, please bring your computers to me. I need rendering power. I need some computer power. And they brought computers, and it really helped a lot. And I think one of the things in Star Wreck has been kind of the motivation for me. It hasn't always been kind of the story approach or the character approach. It has also been kind of the technical side of it. Now I got this and this tool. Now it's possible to do this and this. So in every Star Wreck film, as you saw, it kind of was getting better and better all the time technically, and that was the key kind of motivation for me. Actually, about the film, because Star Wreck was shot fully on digital camera. So my first experience with the Finnish traditional film, the old guys, the industry. Well, I went to a film festival, and the first thing they said that, well, this isn't a real film because it's not shot on film. Well, times do change, and of course nowadays most of the films it's kind of only for some really kind of strange productions the film use, because it's very expensive as well. I'm lately been thinking why I did this and how did I have the time and the energy. But of course one reason was I was 20 years old. Then you are invincible. You can do anything. It required doing 14-hour days and kind of really self-discipline, because I was living at home and there was no boss. I needed to be the boss and who tells me that, okay, you need to wake up 7 o'clock, eat breakfast, and then start doing. But yeah, I think it's important that when you are 20 years old, you can do pretty much anything. You can learn everything so much faster. It's kind of I've noticed that. Of course, now when we are thinking about making a new movie, we need to have some other strengths. It cannot be that, because I'm not invincible anymore. It's kind of the time is taking its toll, of course. Of course, I'm really grateful to my mother, who she never doubted any time when I was doing those old Star Wreck films. I was sitting in my room and just getting some food there from her, and then going back and just being grumpy. And but she never doubted that why are you wasting time on these kind of animations? And because first of all, there was no audience then. When I was doing the first films, I did a film, then I called a couple of my friends, hey, come and see these films. And then they saw it, hey, nice film. Then I started to do the next one. So, so of course, it changed completely when internet came, and the fandom, we started to gather from 98, this kind of fan base. And that was really helpful to us to keep ourselves motivated as well, because we promised to make this film. We promised publicly, and especially when we set the final date for the film. And it's really important to have fans and who say that you need to finish this, and we are really waiting. And of course, how to motivate the people, because nobody was getting any money. So I was unemployed, of course, the whole time. And of course, I was student first, but then I was just unemployed, kind of technically, but how to keep the motivation of all the other people there, and that was a tough thing. I don't say that they didn't do their part, but kind of course people change, they move, and but fortunately they stayed with me. I think because of course I was so into this film making. And I did believe that this will be the perfect film for me and people like me. I believed in that without any doubt. Of course, I also used a technique that I said that this film will be out next year, every year. So yeah, I did make some calculations at some point. How long does it take to make it? And the result was getting too many years. I ripped the paper off and I said, well, I'll just do it faster. Let's forget this. And it's also really important, if you have a really long project, you don't think kind of the project, kind of the whole width. You just take small pieces, kind of do it one by one, and then it goes forward. And yes, Star Wreck, the time crash, that's something we are now developing with my colleague Jussi Lehtiniemi, who will be directing the film. It will be set in Soviet future, where there's only one country in the world, and this is the county of Finland, and there's nuclear harvesters. This time we want to do something really something unique and completely a new world, because of course it's your own thing. So that's going to be an epic world, and there will be huge monsters and flying rocket ladders, and And of course there will be space battles, epic space battles like in the previous film, and big spaceships, and we have actually built this ladder. It's not finished yet. It's just the bare bones. As you can see, it still needs a lot of detailing and all that stuff, and inside some buttons and all that stuff. So it's still work in progress heavily, but it's something new. I enjoy challenges, and in Star Wreck, I think the most difficult thing was the acting, not the visual effects. I kind of noticed that it requires so much effort and professionalism to do good acting, especially because that was kind of my secondary job. It was only I usually didn't train my lines before I started to record. Usually 20 takes went before I couldn't even say the line. So there were times when we got a couple of lines only, and but this time I will perhaps learn my lines. But we are trying to get my lines really short. But yes, I've learned that there are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts. You just need to grind everything, and finally, the backup is always yourself. If somebody else fails, then you need to do it. If you are I've kind of assumed this kind of attitude in Star Wreck, and sometimes, of course, everything goes fine. But if something fails, then you need to do it. But yes, that's about it, and hopefully we'll see you in the future. Thank you.